Now we're going to create a data-driven list. We'll do this by connecting to an existing database, and we're going to connect and retrieve data via code, and then we're going to create a page to display the content from that database. So returning to Visual Studio 2010, I want to highlight that there is a database in the app_data folder. If I double-click this database, we'll see that in Solution Explorer, it's opening up that database and allowing us to peruse its contents. We can see that there's a table called Tasks. I can right-click this, show the table data. We'll see some of the data listed here already. I just gave myself a simple 3 items that I need to do, whether it's complete or not, and this is the data that I want to display on a page. So I'll close that up. It's also worthy of noting that in the web.config file, there is an entry in here that's establishing what the connection string is. And the friendly name for this is demo-db-con. I'm going to be using this in code in a page I'm about to create. So this contains the necessary data to basically open the portal, so to speak, to our database. I'm going to close that. And to showcase the features, I am going to add a new page. So web form using master page, I'll call it display tasks. And add it. What I want to introduce is some server controls that I can bind that data to on the page first. So I'll create an unordered list. Inside of there, I'm going to create an ASP:"list view." Now, I just invoked a code snippet. You could do that as you're typing. You just hit tab. And I'm going to give this list view a name. It's going to be ID of, how about list of tasks? And then in our item template, I'm going to create an LI, which would be found inside of an unordered list. I'm going to say it's going to be a run at equals server. Now inside of here, I'm going to create a label. Now the label control, I'm going to get rid of its text here. And what I am interested in doing is providing an evaluation of what column I want to bind to in that table when it is processing on the server. So I do that through this special syntax where I'm going to evaluate what is in the task name column. So with this done, I can now go to the code behind this page and populate this template with content from the database. In this particular module and example, we're going to be using an entirely code approach. In other modules, you're going to see how this can be done declaratively. So to start off, I'm going to create a variable in C# in the page load event of this page. So every time this page loads, this code will be execute. And I'm going to have it equal the web configuration manager. Now there's a little blue bar appearing under the W. If I hit Control Dot, I can now say, hey, I know that class is something I have a reference to. Could you please add a using statement on line 7? And I hit Enter on the keyboard. Shazam, it's there. Now I'm going to say, with the connection strings in the web configuration file, I would specifically like to get to the one that is called demo-db-con. And I'd like to access that connection string data. So I now have that. I'll minimize so we can see that complete line. I have the connection string. Now what? I'm going to be using a class in the .NET framework, which is all the library of code that we can use in ASP.NET. And it's called SQL Connection. Now once again, the blue bar appears. Control Dot. Use that namespace. It gets added. And I'd like to use this resource, use what's called a using statement. So using tab, var con equals a new SQL connection. And passing into this connection object's constructor is going to be the con string. Now don't feel worried if you don't understand this code. This is a quick ramp up just to show you what it would be like to use this. I'm also going to add a command object that will be derived from our connection object by calling the create command method off of it. So what I've done so far up to line 21 is say I need to create a connection object. I need it to be associated with the connection data in the web.config file. I need a command object, and now I need to tell the command object what it's going to do. So the command text is select star from tasks. That's the table in our database. And we're going to select all rows and all columns. Now I'm going to open up the connection, and with our list of tasks, that is the control that's on this page. I'm going to set its data source property to equal the result of calling the commands execute reader method. That's going to return an iteration of all the rows in that particular table. And now in order for that to actually bind to that control, I need to call the data bind method here. I'm going to build and then view in the browser and see all my tasks to do. All my tasks appear in Internet Explorer, and of course I better do this one as soon as possible.